Hey guys, it's Nico, and today I have the 2018 6th generation iPad, which now has support for the Apple Pencil. I wanted to do a review on this and look at how it stacks up as a tool for designers specifically. So anyone who's creative, who is a designer, who's an artist, who's looking for a mobile tablet that they can design on, I wanted to look at this iPad from that angle and do a review on it. The iPad Pro was developed for, really with designers and creatives in mind. This is the 2015 12.9-inch iPad. In 2016, Apple unveiled the 9.7-inch iPad Pro, and this was really awesome. I loved the size of this one. And then so when they came out with this one with support for the Apple Pencil, I was like, okay, well, how does this compare to the older 9.7-inch iPad Pro now that that is no longer available to buy because the new iPad Pros come in 10.5 and 12.9-inch. So let's just run through the tech specs. This has the A10 Fusion processor, 2 gigs of RAM, an 8 megapixel camera on the back, a pretty low resolution front camera, not nearly the same 7 megapixel camera that the iPad Pros have. It has a non-laminated Retina display, which means that it's a little fatter than the iPad Pro. If we compare them, you can see that the iPad Pro is thinner than the new iPad. In addition to not being laminated, meaning the screen, actual LCD panel being glued to the glass, this doesn't have the anti-reflective coating that the new iPads have. It only has 2 speakers as opposed to the 4 speakers of the iPad Pros, and it doesn't have. It's also missing the smart connector that the iPad Pros have. These little kind of 3 dots as well. So those are kind of the things that you're not getting with it, and some of the things that you are getting with it. But overall, this is a really good iPad. I mean, you still get a Retina display. You still get Touch ID. It's the older Touch ID subset, but it's still Touch ID. You don't have to tap your code every time. But what you are getting, what's awesome, is you're getting the exact same subsystem for the Apple Pencil as the iPad Pros. And that is what makes this iPad so awesome. So how does it stack up for designers? Well, it performs pretty much as well as you can expect for an iPad starting at $329 for the 32 gig version. It's really quite a great performing iPad. I opened up uMake. I dropped in one of my largest models into uMake, this is like a 30 meg model, and it has these wheel sets that I put in. Let's see, it's loading. There we go, and it works great. There's a little bit of lag, but this model is huge. This is a really, really big and complex model. I have multiple layers with different wheel sets on it, so I can come in and I can change out the wheels on this pretty easily. And these wheels, there's 4 of them. They're pretty complex because each of the wheels has a disc brake, so they're just kind of being shown or unshown, or shown or hidden. If I turn off the shadows, for example, or turn on the shadows and the reflection, it does take a little bit of a performance hit. It's a little bit laggier, but you can use uMake very well. It's very stable with a pretty heavy model. So from as far as I'm concerned, this is pretty awesome. This is a great iPad. It works fine. Works well with uMake. If you go into sketching, if you do some freestyle sketching in uMake, the freestyle sketching, you feel like no lag. It's like instantaneous. Let's see, let's go back. Like really, really nice and very smooth. So I was really surprised. I thought this was kind of feel a little cheap or a little older, but no, this feels really smooth. It's as good as the sketching experience on the 1st gen iPad Pros. It's not as smooth as the 2nd gen iPad Pros, mainly because this doesn't have the higher refresh rate, the 120 frames per second ProMotion display that the iPad Pros have. But you can still sketch in 3D space, and that's always awesome. And that's and you can sketch in 3D space really smoothly. So I was really pleasantly surprised with the performance of this, especially with the complex models. Now, if I exit out of uMake, I went into concepts and did some sketching in concepts. The sketching in concepts is really smooth. The airbrushes work really well. The pressure sensitivity works well. The pencil works really well. If you tilt it over, you get the nice like pencil gradient or kind of side of the tip, and then you can have the thin narrow line here. Everything feels really smooth and fast. The pressure sensitivity, I come up here, is really quite nice. And so this works just like the iPad Pros. Really, between my older 2016 9.7-inch iPad Pro and this, there's not a lot of difference. And that's saying a lot, because I paid close to $1,000 for my 9.7-inch iPad Pro, and for this I paid just under $500 with AppleCare. So you're getting a lot of iPad for half the price. It works really great with Procreate. If you go into Procreate, I did some airbrushing in this. I wanted to see kind of if there was going to be any lag with the airbrush. And if this is the biggest airbrush, pressure sensitivity works nice. And if you really kind of go at it, it's fast, barely any lag as well. So that's Procreate works great with it. Affinity Photo, for those of you who are into doing photo editing, this is a great app. And I took this picture of a wing of a plane when I was coming home a couple weeks ago. And so I was doing basically some tests on this to kind of see what the levels were like, and increasing or decreasing the contrast. I was doing some editing on these. If I go into the black and white mode, I can increase the reds, for example. And so I wanted to kind of see how fast this would work, and what the effects were going to be like, what the display was going to look like, since this is not P3 color accurate like the iPad Pros. But it works great. Affinity Photo is fast and snappy in it, and so you've got really good photo editing. That works great. All of the design apps that I use, from uMake to Sketchbook to Adobe Photoshop Sketch, they're snappy, they're quick. You just don't notice any of the lag that you might get on some of the older iPads. So my conclusion, basically, even when you put symmetry for Sketchbook Pro, it's snappy, it's fast. I've actually sketched a lot on this iPad, and I've been really pleasantly surprised. So my conclusion is, if you're looking for an iPad to sketch on, to travel with, to be creative with, and you don't want to break the bank, go out and get this iPad. It's great. Get a pencil with it, because that transforms it. And the pencil is one of the best styling out there. But you won't be disappointed in this iPad. Yes, it doesn't have all the things iPad Pro does, but it's good enough to design on. It's good enough to be creative with. And with AppleCare at only $69 for this, you don't have to worry about it. You throw on the AppleCare, you take it with you. This is your mobile sketchbook. This is your iPad that you don't have to worry too much about. You don't have to worry if your screen gets scratched, for example. You can just use it as a sketchbook, be creative with it, sketch, design, and not have this $1,000 thing that you're constantly worried about. Instead, you have a $500 thing that performs pretty much in the same way as the iPad Pros do. So, and it's highly portable. That's the other thing. If I compare the size, just so you kind of get a comparison of the 12.9, 9.7, this is a lot smaller. It's a lot easier to take with you, and it's lightweight. So yeah, if you are looking for something, a great little device that won't break the bank, go out and get this. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback for me, definitely let me know. Happy to help answer them. And one last thing, a couple of you have been asking what the gold is like. So this is a gold one. This is the rose gold of the iPad Pro. So you can see this is like a little lighter, a little pinker. This is more like copperish. And the original gold that Apple came out with, this is the iPad Air 2. So you can see kind of the color gradient there. All right, so that's about it, guys. If you have any comments or questions, as I mentioned, let me know. If you're looking for a great design device, honestly, I love this. Hope you will too. Have a wonderful day and happy creating. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.